والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وإيمانا وفقها في الدين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وتجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. This is a commentary of the fifth hadith by Imam An-Nawawi, narrated by Aisha, Aisha, radiallahu anha. Who wants to read? Mahek, would you like to read?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن أم المؤمنين أم عبد الله عائشة رضي الله عنهما قالت: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. رواه البخاري ومسلم. وفي رواية مسلم: من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد.
So this hadith as you had,
I also want to read.
also want to read?
Yes.
Okay, read.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. عن أم المؤمنين أم عبد الله عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت: قال رسول الله: من أحدث في
رسول الله؟
قال رسول الله من أحدث
قال رسول الله؟
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو من أحدث أمرنا هذا
في أمرنا
من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. رواه البخاري ومسلم. وفي رواية مسلم من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد.
Okay, so this hadith narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha. So Imam An-Nawawi said, عن أم المؤمنين أم عبد الله عائشة. So عن أم المؤمنين. So here أم المؤمنين, what does it mean?
The mother of the believers.
The mother of the believers. So is this a laqab or a kunya? This kunya.
It's good.
It's kunya?
No.
Okay, so if Umm-ul-Mu'mineen, it's kunya, right? And then Abdullah, it's also what?
المؤمنين is lakab and Abdullah is kunya.
Really?
Yes.
So how do you differentiate between laqab and kunya?
Kunya is like the title or something like
So we said that kunya starts with or abu, right? So we said the kunya of Abdullah ibn Umar is
Abu Abdurrahman.
Abu Abdurrahman. This is kunya. It starts with Abu. And then for the women, it starts with right? So we say Abdullah and also Ummul Mu'minin. So here Ummul Mu'minin and Abdullah, it's all kunya for the same person, Aisha radiallahu anha. Alright, so Ummul Mu'minin. And why is she Ummul Mu'minin? Where did she get this kunya?
In the Quran.
In the Quran. It's a title that Allah has given the wives of the prophets. So he said, النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم وأزواجه أمهاتهم. Right? Okay, so and then the wives of the prophets are the mothers of the believers, right? So and then Aisha radiallahu anha is one of the wives of the Prophet. So she is Umm al-Mu'min. So and then Abdullah, it's also
Kunya.
Abdullah. So Aisha radiallahu anha, how did she get this kunya? Abdullah.
She was named after her father.
Eh?
Her father.
Her father?
Yes.
No.
The Prophet used to call her.
No. So she once said the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, كل نسائك لهن كنا إلا أنا. She said, and then the Prophet said to her, اكتني بابن أختك Abdullah. Right, so she once said the Prophet that, oh Ya Rasulullah, all your wives have kunya, right? The wives of the Prophet, the rest of the wives of the Prophet, they have what? They have kunya, except Aisha. I'm the only one without kunya. So and then the Prophet said, take what? Aisha has a sister called Asma, and Asma has a son called Abdullah bin Zubayr. Right? Do you remember we mentioned Abdullah bin Zubayr?
No.
Part of the four Abadila.
Yes.
So his mother is Asma, the daughter of Abu Bakr. Okay? So, and then the Prophet said to her, Iktani bibni ukhtik, Asma. Right? So, then since then she got the kunya, Umm Abdullah. Right? So, but normally, the traditional, this is how they do it. If let's say you have a son or a daughter, mostly they use the first son, the first child, the name of the first child, right? So if you have a child or a son or a daughter called Aisha, for instance, it will be called Abu Aisha. But if you don't have a child, you are not yet married, but you want a kunya, then you pick right? You either use the name of what? Your brother's son or daughter, or you choose any name that you like to name your child. Then you use that one. So for instance, Yusuf don't want to marry, right? So but he liked the name. He liked the name. Let's say Raihan, right? So we call him Abu Raihan. You get it?
So does it mean that Imam Abu Hanifa, does it mean that that's his kunya?
Yeah, Abu Hanifa. Yeah, this is his kunya.
So that's a real name?
No. His real name is Nu'man bin Thabit. Nu'man bin Thabit al-Khazazi. So his kunya, but he don't have a child called Hanifa. Yeah. The name of his son is Hamad. But it's not his kunya is not Abu Hamad. It's known as Abu Hanifa. And then his real name is Nu'man bin Thabit al-Kufi al-Khazaz.
So does it mean he picked the name from someone else? Maybe his brother.
Maybe it has a source I don't know, but that's his kunya. And his son's name is Hamad. But they don't call him by that kunya, Abu Hamad. No. It's known as Abu Hanifa. Right? So Umm al-Mu'minin, Abdullah, Aisha. So here, Aisha is her real name. What is her father's name? Abu Bakr. So is that the real name of Abu Bakr?
No.
What is his real name?
Abdul Rahman.
Huh?
Abdul Rahman.
No. His real name is? His real name is? Huh? So his real name is Abdullah. Abu Bakr's real name is Abdullah. right?
So that Abu Hurairah is Abdurrahman.
Yeah, Abu Huraira.
Abdurrahman.
That's Abu Huraira's name is Abdurrahman, right? But Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, the first Khalifa, or the first Khalif, his real name is
Abdullah.
Abdullah, right? Okay. His father's name is?
Abdullah.
No.
Abu Bakr's father.
Abu Bakr's father. His father, the kunya of his father is Abu Kuhafa, but his real name is Uthman. So she is Aisha bint Abu Bakr bin Uthman. You get it? So Aisha, radiallahu anha, she was born 3 years after the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So after the prophet has become a prophet, she was born. She was born after 3 years after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam became a prophet, right? So, and since then she has been with her mother in Mecca. She was born in Mecca, and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam married her when she was 6 years. Yeah, in Mecca, right? So now, what led to that marriage? How did it happen? The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam saw in his dream several times an angel brought Aisha to the Prophet alayhi salam. He showed Aisha to the Prophet in his dream that this is your wife. So the Prophet will uncover her face and then look at her. Right? Whenever the angel brought Aisha twice to the Prophet in his dream and said to him, this is your wife. So the Prophet would uncover his face and look at her. Whenever he opened, he will see what he will see Aisha. So it's a dream, and then he will say that if Allah ordained it, then it shall come to pass. Right? So that's how it happened, and then later after the death of Khadija, he married the third woman the Prophet married. So after Khadija, the Prophet ﷺ married Sauda bint Zaman, and also then he married Aisha. So he married 3 women in Mecca, right? Khadija, Sauda, and then Aisha.
So it's just 6 years. So like 6 years. So like that should be like. So can you marry a child like for 6 years like a child?
Okay, so she was 6 when he married her, but she did not live with the Prophet as a wife after the marriage. Okay, she joined the Prophet. She moved to the Prophet's house as a wife when she became 9 years. 9 years. Yeah. So now, you see, he thinks that Aisha is young, right? Because she was married at the age of 6, and then she moved in with the Prophet when she was 9. So now you have to understand that at that time, this is not something strange, and she is not considered young at that time. Yes. So before the Prophet ﷺ seek Aisha's hand in marriage, there was a man who came to seek Aisha's hand in marriage for his son. Yes. Right? So when the Prophet ﷺ came, of course, the messenger of the Prophet, the one who came to seek Aisha's hand in marriage on behalf of the Prophet, she came, and then Abu Bakr radiallahu anha said to her that there's someone who came to seek Aisha's hand in marriage for his son. So Abu Bakr went to that man and then asked him, are you still interested in Aisha? Is your son still interested in Aisha? Then the man said no. Why? Because the man at that time did not embrace Islam, and Abu Bakr had already embraced Islam. So he just he did not accept, and then he said no, his son is no longer interested in Aisha because they've embraced Islam. right? So then he informed the Prophet that yes, he has accepted his proposal, and then he married Aisha. So here also you understand that it's not strange, because as I mentioned to you, that there was someone who came and seek a hand in marriage before the Prophet. This also to establish that it's something normal in their tradition. And also at that time, don't forget that the Prophet has many enemies, right? The disbelievers of Quraysh, and also the idol worshippers of Quraysh, and also his also enemies in Medina. But none of them use this as a defect or criticize him on this. Why? So this is to tell you that it's something known. It's a tradition. It's part of their tradition. It's something known. So they did not use it as they did not criticize him on that.
So can someone, like, let's say right now in our world, can someone also use that as a basis to,
to marry? Yeah, so of course you can marry her at that young age, but you can't she can't move in with you as a wife at that age. You understand? So you can tie the knot, right, for her to be known as your wife. So when she become mature, then she can move to you as a wife, right? Yeah.
So does that mean that if those people who came first, who first came to seek the Aisha, the hands in marriage, does that mean that if they were Muslim, Abu Bakr would have accepted it?
No, it's not because they are not Muslim. They gave up Aisha. Why? Because Abu Bakr had already embraced Islam. They get it. At that time they were not Muslims. You understand? But Abu Bakr had already embraced Islam. You get it? And they came to seek Aisha's hand in marriage before the prophethood of Muhammad. You get it? So Aisha radiallahu anha, at that age she moved in as the wife of the Prophet in Medina. Okay? The marriage took place in Mecca, and then she moved in as a wife in Medina.
So, but she wasn't mature,
she was mature at that time.
Everything mature.
Yeah. At that time she is considered mature.
Was
9.
Yeah, 9. The age of 9. Yeah. So at that time, boys of 12 years, they get married at that time. Yes. So there's a companion of the Prophet by the name Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. The age difference between him and his father is 12 years. Yes. So you get it? Yeah, so this is normal in that time. It's part of their tradition. Okay. So Aisha radiallahu anha, she's considered one of the scholars among the Sahabahs. Right? She is considered one of the scholars among the Sahabahs. And then she's well versed in fiqh, in hadith, and also in poetry and in medicine. Okay, so she has memorized over 2,210 hadith from the Prophet. Right? She has narrated and memorized these hadith from the Prophet. And she also helped in transmission of hadith among the women of Ansar. So when the women of Ansar, when they want to ask the Prophet something related to women, they don't go to Prophet directly. They come to Aisha radiallahu anha to ask her, right? Even the men among the Sahabas, they will come to Aisha and ask them something related to women, and then Aisha will respond to her. So Abu Bakr, her father, Umar, Uthman, Ali, they used to come to Aisha to seek for fatwa. right? Not only things related to women. There are things that are not related to women. Some legal issues, they will come to Aisha and what? And ask Aisha. And Aisha is also considered one of what? One of the fuqaha, one of the scholars among the Sahabas. And then she is also well versed when it comes to Arab poems, Arab poetry, right? And also she is also well versed when it comes to the history of Arab, because Abu Bakr is also what? Is also known for that, right? And so she is also good, also well versed when it comes to medicine. Why? Because whenever the Prophet ﷺ falls sick, he is with her. And then when doctors come, they will prescribe medicine, and she is the one who take care of the Prophet. So she learned what? Medicine from these doctors. You get it? Yeah. Yeah, and then many Sahabas also, one of the leading hadith narrators among the Sahabas narrated hadith from her, like Abu Hurairah radiallahu anha, Anas radiallahu anhu, Anas bin Malik, Abdullah ibn Umar, and also, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Abdullah ibn Abbas. All these companions, they narrated hadith from Aisha radiallahu anha. And then Aisha radiallahu anha died. The Prophet died when Aisha was 18 years. Yeah. Right. She was 18 years when the Prophet died. Right. And then many the Sahabas benefited from her knowledge after the death of the Prophet. And she died in the year 58 before Abu Hurairah. And Abu Hurairah led her funeral, and he also died in the same year, the year 58. Yeah. So Aisha radiallahu anha, this is one of the hadiths that she narrated. She said, and also this is to tell you that at that time they respected women, right? They did not look at the gender of Aisha to say that Aisha was young at that time. I mean, she was not even up to 18 at that time, and also she was a woman at that time. But whenever they needed fatwa, they would go to Aisha, right? Whenever there is a hadith that someone narrates, for instance, when Abu Hurairah, we said, is one of the leading hadith narrators. Whenever he narrates hadith and then they are in doubt of whether this hadith is authentic or not, whether he heard it from the Prophet or not, they will go to Aisha and ask her, we heard Abu Hurairah saying this. Is that true? Then she will say, yes, it's true. Right? So they used to go to her to find out more about the hadith of the Prophet. And then even the elderly Sahabas like Abu Hurairah, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, they used to go to her. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, they used to go to her for what? For fatwa. And Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, we never went to Aisha seeking for fatwa on something unless she has knowledge for it. Right? They never went to her for fatwa for her to say, I don't know. Whatever they asked her, she answered. Right?
Was she the only scholar among the wives of the Prophet?
Yes, she is considered the most learned among the wives of the Prophet. Yeah, the most learned. And then even Imam Zuhri, one of the renowned scholars of Hadith, is saying that if you are to gather the knowledge of the wives of the Prophet, okay, and put it on a scale, and then the knowledge of Aisha on the other part of the scale, the knowledge of Aisha will outweigh the knowledge of the rest of the wife of the Prophet. Right? And even there are scholars who say that they are saying that they've never seen a woman more knowledgeable than Aisha throughout history. Yes. Yeah, so Aisha radiallahu anha, she's learned. She really benefited from the Prophet. Yeah. Alright, so this is one of the hadith she narrated from the Prophet. She said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. Whoever innovates, whoever introduces something new in this religion that is not part of it, it's what? It is rejected. Man ahdatha fi amrina hada. Whoever introduces something new, something novel in this religion, ma laysa minhu. Ma laysa minhu, meaning this thing that has been introduced has no basis, has no example, has no evidence in the religion. فَهُوَ رَدٌّ, it will not be accepted. Is this clear?
Yes.
So we will explain it, okay? We will explain it in great detail. And then this hadith narrated by Bukhari and Muslim, meaning it's what? It's an authentic hadith. And also there is a narration by Imam Muslim who said, Man amila amalan. Whoever acts on a deed, on an action, laysa alayhi amrun. It's not part of what we've commanded. فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. It will also be rejected. So what does this hadith mean? It means that anything new in the religion that has no basis, here, it has no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah, then it is what? It is rejected, meaning the person will not be rewarded for that action. And it also means that if someone introduces something in the religion that has basis from the Quran and the Sunnah, it is not what? It will not be rejected. Do you get it? Okay. Now this hadith is related to bid'ah. Have you ever heard of bid'ah?
No.
You should. The bid'ah is what? Okay, so now let's look at what is bid'ah. So we'll be looking at the definition of bid'ah. Okay? And then the understanding of bid'ah among the Sahabahs. And then we also look at the texts on bid'ah. And we also look at different schools on bid'ah. And then we also look at, does bid'ah has types or not? Do you get it?
No.
So this is what we'll be looking at, inshallah. So now let's look at the definitions of bid'ah. There are many definitions. Scholars have defined bid'ah with different definitions. So there's definition by Imam Shafi'i. So we'll be given 3 definitions of bid'ah. One definition by Imam Shafi'i and the other by Imam al-Jurjani. And then the third one by Imam Shafi'i. The first one by Imam al-Shafi'i. Imam al-Shafi'i said, Al-bid'atu bid'atani. Al-bid'atu bid'atani. Bid'atun madhmuma wa bid'atun mahmuda wa bid'atun madhmuma. فما وافق السنة فهو محمود وما خالف السنة فهو مذموم. So this hadith, this definition of bid'ah by Imam al-Shafi'i. Imam al-Shafi'i died in the year 205. 204 or 5. So he said, Al-bid'atu bid'atan. Bid'ah is of two types. Al-bid'atu bid'atan. Bid'ah is of 2 types. Al-bid'atu bid'atun madhmuma. The bid'ah madhmuma does the bid'ah blameworthy and bid'ah that is unaccepted. And then bid'atun mahmuda, and the bid'ah that is what? Accepted. The praised bid'ah, meaning the bid'ah that is what? Accepted. And he said, فَمَا وَافَقَ السُّنَّةِ فَهُوَ مَحْمُودٌ. Anything innovated, anything novel in the religion that goes in line with the teaching of the Sunnah, it's what it accepted. Right? He said bid'ah are of two types. Bid'ah that is accepted and bid'ah that is rejected. So the bid'ah that is accepted is a bid'ah that goes in line with what? With the teaching of the Sunnah. He said, فَمَا وَافَقَ السُّنَّةِ فَهُوَ مَحْمُودٌ. So anything novel, anything new that goes in line with the teaching of the Sunnah, not only the Sunnah, but here he mentioned only the Sunnah, that goes in line with the teaching of the Sunnah, meaning the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, then it's what? It is accepted. And then he also said, وَمَا خَالَفَ السُّنَّةِ فَهُوَ مَذْمُومٌ. And anything introduced, anything novel in the religion that contradicts the teaching of what? Of Sunnah is rejected. Do you get it? So this is what, this is a definition by Imam Shafi. Is this clear? Any question? Okay. So there's another definition by Imam al-Jurjani. Imam al-Jurjani is also one of the scholars of Islam who defined almost concept of what? Of Islam in his book. I mean, not only Islam, but definitions. You find a definition of Salah, definition of Zakah, definition of Sawm, definition of many things in his book At-Ta'rifat. So this Imam, he died in the year 471.
471.
Yeah, 471. So Imam al-Jurjani, he said, al-bid'atu, he said, هو الأمر المحدث الذي لم يكن عليه الصحابة والتابعون ولم يكن ما اقتضاه دليل الشرع. So he said, هو الأمر المحدث الذي لم يكن عليه الصحابة والتابعون ولم يكن مما اقتضاه دليل الشرع. He said bid'ah is what? It's something novel, something introduced in the religion. هو الأمر المحدث is something novel, something new, something innovated. الذي لم يكن عليه الصحابة والتابعون. So this thing that has been innovated or introduced in the religion, the Sahabas and then the Tabi'un don't know it. The Sahabas and the Tabi'un, they don't what? They don't know it. And then he also said, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مِمَّا اقْتَضَاهُ دَلِيلٌ الشَّرْعِ. And this thing, this novel thing, this new thing that has been introduced in the religion, it's also something that has no what? No basis in what? In the religion. Meaning no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah. Do you get it?
No.
It is something novel, something introduced, something new, something innovated in the religion that the Sahabas and the Tabi'un don't know it. And then has no basis in
the Quran
and the Sunnah. Do you get it? So what does it mean? It also means that if there is something novel that the Sahabas and the Tabi'un knows of it, or it does not what? It has basis in the Quran and the Sunnah. It's what? it is not bid'ah that is rejected. Do you get it?
No.
Is it clear?
No.
I want to.
It's not clear. So here, Imam al-Jurjani said, definition of bid'ah, and here definition of bid'ah here, it means the bid'ah that is what rejected.
No.
Okay, so he said the bid'ah that is rejected is what? Is anything novel, anything introduced in the religion that the Sahabas and the Tabi'un don't know it. The Sahabas and the Tabi'un, they don't know it. Meaning they don't approve of this novel thing. Or it's something that's also what introduced that has no basis in what? In the Quran and the Sunnah. Right? So here analogically, if something is novel, something new, something introduced in the religion, known by the Sahabas and approved by the Sahabas, it's not what? It's not bid'ah. It's not what? Bid'ah, that's what's rejected. And if something also has what? Basis in what? In the Quran and the Sunnah, it's also what? It's also not? It's also not bid'ah, the rejected bid'ah. Do you get it?
No, sir.
And now let's move on to the definition of Imam al-Shatibi. Imam al-Shatibi is also one of the greatest scholars of Islam from ancient Andalusia, Spain. He said, bid'ah, he also defined bid'ah.
He died.
He died in the year 790. So Imam al-Shatibi said, البدعة هي الطريق في الدين مخترع. هي طريق في الدين مخترع يضاهي بالشريعة يقصد بالسلوك عليها المبالغة في التعبد لله سبحانه. So he said, bid'ah is هو طريقة في الدين مخترع. It's something in the religion that has been innovated. It's something novel that has been innovated, right? هي الطريقة في الدين مخترع, meaning it's something novel, something new, something innovated in the religion. يضاهي بالشريعة. يضاهي بالشريعة. It undermines the integrity of what? The Sharia, meaning the Quran and the Sunnah. Meaning it undermines the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. In other words, it contradicts the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. It's something novel, something new that has been introduced in the religion that contradicts the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. And then he said, يقصد بالسلوك عليها المبالغة في التعبد لله سبحانه. And then people who take this path, this innovated path in the religion, they do that because of what? Exaggeration in worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning this path that they've invented in the religion that contradict the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, they what? Those who act on it, those who take this path, they do that to what? To exaggerate. يقصد بالسلوك عليها المبالغة في التعبد لله سبحانه وتعالى. So those who take this path, they what? They take it to what? To exaggerate in what? In worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you get it? So here Imam Shatibi has mentioned what? 3 things here. He said, هي الطريقة في الدين مخترع. It's something novel, something introduced, something innovated in the religion. And then the second one, يضاهي بالشريعة. It contradicts the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. And then the third one, it's also what? It's those who take that path, they take it to what? To exaggerate in an act of worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these 3 things are all what? Are all bad. It's what? It's against the what? It's against the what? The Quran and the Sunnah. So here we can also understand the definition from different perspectives. Now, هي الطريقة في الدين مخترع. It's something novel, something new in the religion. يضاهي بالشريعة. That's what he said. So if there's something new, novel in the religion, لم يضاهي بالشريعة. It does not contradict the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. Then it is what? It is what?
It is better than accepted.
This is accepted better. Do you get it? As Imam Shafi'i said, ما وافق السنة فهو محمود. Anything novel, anything innovated in a religion that goes in line with the teaching of the Sunnah is what? It's accepted. So we understand that if this novel thing does not contradict the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, then it is what? It is accepted. And then also يقصد بالسلوك عليها المبالغة في التعبد لله. Then those who take this path, they take it what? Why? To exaggerate, right? So meaning, we can also understand this, that if those taking this innovated path are not taking it to exaggerate in the act of worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is also what? It also accepted. Do you get this definition?
No.
Is it clear? Okay. Now, from these definitions, and then also I decided to mention 3 definitions, not 1. Why? So that we will know that this definition is coming from what? From great scholars of Islam. Right? From these great scholars of Islam, Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam al-Jurjani, Imam al-Shatibi, there are also different definitions, but I don't want us to spend the rest, all our time on definitions. So here, we understand from the definition that something novel, something new, something introduced in the religion. Now we are not talking about something worldly, something innovation in science, innovation in technology, innovation in other fields. No, we are talking about what? Innovation in the religion. You get it? Not other innovations. So because other innovations are accepted, we are talking about the innovation in what? In the religion. And we said innovations in the religion here is what? Are things that contradict the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. And things that has no basis in what? In the Quran and the Sunnah. Do you get it? Okay. Now, let's look at the schools on what? On Bid'ah. Okay, before we come to the understanding of Bid'ah among the Sahabas. So here, when you look at Bid'ah, scholars have what? Scholars have divided into what? Into 2 schools when it comes to what? When it comes to understanding of Bid'ah. There are scholars who are saying any form of Bid'ah, any form of innovation in the religion is what? Is unaccepted. This is the first school. And then the second school are saying that anything innovated in the religion that contradicts the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, it's unaccepted. But anything innovated in the religion that does not contradict the Quran and the teaching, and the Quran and the Sunnah is what? It's accepted. So we have what? 2 schools here. These are saying no matter what it is that has been that is innovated in the religion, it's what? It's rejected. And then the second school are saying, yes, this innovated thing or act, we will look at it. If it contradicts the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, then it's rejected. But if it does not and has basis in the Quran and the Sunnah, then it is what? It is accepted. So now let's look at the argument of the first school and the argument of the second school. The first school are saying that the Prophet, here they use this hadith of Aisha, that the Prophet had said, Man ahdatha fi amrina hadha ma laysa minhu fahuwa rad. Whoever innovates something new in these affairs of ours, it's what? It will get to what? It will be rejected. So this is what is there. This is one of their arguments. And then the second argument is that they say, they use the hadith of the Prophet that says, كل إياكم ومحدثات الأمور فإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. Beware of what? Innovation. Stay away from what? From innovation. فإن كل محدثة بدعة. Because every form of what? Innovation is bid'ah. Anything new that has no example in the religion is what? Is bid'ah. And then وَكُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. And every form of bid'ah is what? Is dalala, is misguidance. You get it? So they also use what? This hadith as what? As an evidence to say that every form of what? Every form of bid'ah is what? Is not accepted. And they also say that, they also argue that this thing, this novel thing that has been introduced in the religion, if it were to be good, the Prophet would have what? The Prophet would have mentioned it, and the Prophet would have what? Done it. Okay? And then also, if it were to be good, the Sahabahs would have what? Done, and then also their successors, the Tabi'un. Right? And they also argue that since the Prophet has not done it, and also the Sahabas, and then the Tabi'un, it means that there's no goodness in it. And then also, they also argue that since the Prophet and then the Sahabas have not done it, then those who are doing it are saying that the Prophet has what? Has left something that he did not teach his ummah. Okay? So this is the argument. So they consider what? They consider every form of innovation to be what? To be unaccepted. You get it?
Mm.
But when you look at this argument, it's all not legitimate. Now, they say the first hadith that they use for their evidence, we understood that anything novel that has no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah is what? It's not accepted. But if it has basis, then it's what? It's accepted. Therefore, we can't consider every innovation to be bid'ah. You get it? Okay. And also the second evidence that they say, kullu bid'atin dalalah, because the Prophet has said what? Kull. Every form of what innovation is rejected. It's misguidance. Right? So they emphasize on the word kullu. That the Prophet said kullu. But on these two, there's no evidence in this. Because this kull, yes, even though the Prophet said every form of, because the Prophet said every form of innovation is what? It's aberration, it's what misguidance, right? But here it does not mean every innovated thing. Why? Because we said from the definition, from the understanding of the definition, that anything novel that has what basis from the Quran and the Sunnah is not what? It's not bid'ah. And therefore, the word kul cannot what? Encapsulate, cannot be general on what? On every form of what? Innovation. You understand? And then there are many usage of what the word kul, but does not always mean everything. For instance, the Prophet said, "Kullu bani Adam khata, wa khayrul khata'in at-tawwab." The Prophet said, every human being, all the sons of Adam make mistakes, meaning they commit sins. And the best among them are those who repent. So the issue here, what you ask here is that does the Prophet and then the messengers fall under the children of Adam? Are they also the children of Adam? Are you sure?
Yes.
I mean, Prophet Adam, Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Idris, Noah, Musa, Isa, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Are they all children of Adam?
No.
Huh? What are you saying, brother?
Yes.
Yes. So, okay, do they commit sins? Do they commit sins? Eh? What?
No,
No.
they make
No,
mistakes.
they don't
Make
commit sins.
mistakes.
But the Prophet said, "Kullu bani Adam." Every son of Adam commit sin. Because we are fallible. But the Prophet and messengers, they are what? Infallible. They don't what? They don't commit sins. Therefore, it's not every, kul, the word kul, does not always generalize much. Does not always generalize. You get it? And then there are many usage of this in the glorious Quran. So here, the emphasis on kullu bid'atin dalala, it's not accurate. Looking at the general principles and also the secret texts from the Quran and the Sunnah, it's not legitimate to say that it encapsulates everything or encapsulates everything, encompasses everything. No, it does not what? There's no generalization here. You understand? Since we understood that there are certain innovations that has basis in Islam, and these type of innovations are not considered what? Are not considered bid'atun dalal. Therefore, we can't say that, we can't emphasize on what kullu bid'atun dalal to say that every form of what innovation is what? Is misguidance and then not accepted. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the third argument that they say, that if it were to be good, the Prophet and then the Sahabahs would have done it. These two, there's no true in this. This is also what? Not a strong argument. Why? It's not a legitimate and strong argument because there are many things that the Prophet ﷺ did not do. Right? But the Sahabas, even those who came after the Sahabas did. And then there's goodness in it. Right? Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ, there are certain things in his time that are not necessary. Or maybe they are necessary, but the time and then the circumstance does not what call for it. And therefore, he won't do it. You get it? The Prophet won't do it. For instance, when you look at tafsir al-Quran, the tafsir of the Quran that we do today, right? The scholar will come well prepared, recite a verse, and then explain to people the meaning of the verse, the ruling in the verse, and then the lessons from the verses. This is the tafsir. Has the Prophet has the Prophet done this?
No.
No. Why? Is it not good? It's good. But why didn't he do?
At his time, it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary. Why? Because the Sahabas, the Arabs, they understood the Arabic, they know the Arabic, right? So they what? They understand the Quran. Except some few verses that needed what? Explanation, and then the Prophet what? They asked the Prophet and he explained to them. You get it? There are things that are important. The Prophet did not do. Why? Because it's not necessary at that time. So we can't say that if it were to be good, the Prophet and the Sahabas would have done it. No. It's not applicable to what? To everything. There are certain things that we do today that are important, but the Prophet and the Sahabas what? Did not do. Why? Because there's no need for that in their time. Do you get it? Okay. Okay. So looking at the argument, it's not that strong to what? To condemn every form of what? Every form of bid'ah. You get it? And then this is not this school is not supported by majority of what? Of scholars. This is a school or understanding of many scholars, we can say, many scholars, but not what? Not the majority. Do you get it? Okay. Is there any question? Okay. Now let's move on to the second school. The second school are saying that the bid'ah, it's not every bid'ah that is dalal. Bid'ah that is dalal, that is misguidance, that is aberration, is the bid'ah that contradicts the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. And it's the bid'ah that does not go in line with what? With the teaching of what? Of the Quran and the Sunnah. But if there's something novel, something new, that goes in line with the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, then it's not what? It is not bid'ah. You get it? So this is what? This is the argument of what? Of the second school. So they what? This school, they've categorized bid'ah into what? Into different categories. They said that bid'ah is of categories. It's not every bid'ah that is dalal. It is not every bid'ah that is dalal. There are bid'ah that are not dalal. It's innovated, it's something new, something novel in the religion, but it's not dalal. Right? So you can see this what? This is opposite the first what? The first school. So what is their argument? They also used what? They used this hadith of Aisha and said, "Man ahdatha fi amrina hada ma laysa minhu fahuwa radd." So they said that the Prophet said, whoever introduces something new in this religion, ma laysa minhu, that which is not part of it. So they said that which is not part of it is, meaning it has no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah. You get it? But if it has basis in the Quran and the Sunnah, then it is not a raddu. It is not what? Rejected. They get it? So they use the same one, the same hadith as what? As their evidence. And then they also use what? The second narration of the hadith. Man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna fahuwa raddu. Whoever acts on what? On a deed that is not our commandment, then it is what? Fahuwa raddu. It is what? It is rejected. So they say that it is not our commandment, it means that it is not in the Quran and the Sunnah. But if it is in the Quran and the Sunnah, even if the Prophet did not do, then it is not what? It is not bid'ah. Are you getting this? Is it clear? Okay. So this is the argument. Then they use another hadith, another authentic hadith. They said, the Prophet said, "Man sanna fil Islami sunnatan hasana, walahu ajruha wa ajru man amila min ba'dihim min ghayri an yanqusa min ujurihim shay'a. Wa man sanna fil Islami sunnatan sayyi'a, falahu وزرها ووزر من عمل بها من بعدهم إلى يوم القيامة من غير أن ينقص من أوزارهم شيئا. So this hadith is also what? This is also authentic hadith. Okay? It's authentic hadith narrated by Imam Muslim, recorded by Imam Muslim. So the Prophet is saying, whoever man sanna fil Islam sunnatan hasana, whoever introduced something good in the religion, and then people act upon it, he will have the reward for this introduction, and then also will have reward of those people who will do that thing after his death. This is for those who introduce something good. And then the second part of the hadith said, those who introduce something bad in the religion will have the what? The sin for that, and then the sins of those who what? Who imitate them after their death. So here they said what? The Prophet has what? Has mentioned two things here. Good innovation and bad innovation. And therefore they don't see what? They don't see all innovations to be what? To be bad. They get it. And this is also an authentic hadith. And this is a legitimate argument. Looking at what? Looking at the definitions that we discussed. Is it clear? And then also their argument is also that it's not everything that the Prophet did not do that will be considered what? Bid'ah. There are things that the Prophet did not do, but it's what? It's still considered good, and then people have been what? Rewarded for it. Okay? So with this, they are saying that it's not every innovation that is bid'ah. So here, with the second school of today, what? They classify bid'ah into what? Into different classification. They don't consider kullu bid'atin dalala. They say what? All form of bid'ah is not what? It's not aberration, it's not dalala, it's not misguidance. Is it clear? Okay. So now, do we understand the two schools on bid'ah clearly? Is it clear? Any question?
No question.
Okay.
So it means if someone, let's say, someone brings something new, right? And then it doesn't have basis in the Quran. Like you can't have any hadith or any verse support it, and there's nothing that also go against it in the Quran or in the Sunnah. And it's something. I mean, from looking at it, or logically, it's something good, but you don't have anything to support it from the Quran, and like it's just like it's silent on that part. Nothing has spoken about it. Whether Quran more against it, not supporting it. So.
And this thing, does it contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah?
Like what I'm saying is like it's just there. As in like the Quran is not supporting it. There is no verse supporting that thing, and there's no hadith supporting it.
Meaning it has no basis.
Yes, nothing.
Okay.
And there's no. You can also say this is a verse. I mean, abandoning this or destroying this, condemning this, or any sunnah saying or any hadith condemning the same thing. So it's just there. No negative, no positive.
Okay.
So what about something like that? And then
so this thing is actually what the second school of thought are advocating. They are saying if there's something introduced, something introduced that has no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah, but does not contradict the Quran and the Sunnah, and there's goodness in it, this is not bid'ah al-dalal. Do you get it? Yes.
But doesn't it also go against the hadith of the Aisha? Because it has no basis.
Yeah, it has no basis. Yes. But does it contradict the Quran and the Sunnah? No. So if it does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, and there's goodness in it, then it is not bid'ah. You get it? Now let's use the understanding of Sahabah on bid'ah to understand your question very well. Now we are done with the definition of bid'ah, the schools on what? On bid'ah, different understanding on bid'ah, and then their argument. Now let's move on to what? To the understanding of Sahabah on what? On bid'ah. Is it clear? Okay. Now, the Sahabas have also what? Different understanding of what? Of Bid'ah. So we will understand this through what? Through the following examples, through the following narration. So now let's use the narration or what happened, what transpired between Abu Bakr and Omar. After the Ghazwat al-Yamama, you know the Ghazwat al-Yamama? You know the Ghazwat al-Yamama? Okay. So it's a battle that happened between what? The first battle that happened between Muslims after the death of the Prophet. Okay, so in what? That was in the Khilafah of Abu Bakr. So after Abu Bakr, there were some Muslims who said that no, we will not pay the zakah to Abu Bakr. And then some of them said that no, even zakah is not what? It's not obligatory on them anymore. Okay, so this is the cause of what? Of that battle. So in that battle, many companions, those who memorized the Quran, the Hufaz, died in that battle. About 70 of them. So after the battle, Umar came to Abu Bakr and said to Abu Bakr, "Oh Abu Bakr, what do you think of what? Documenting the Quran?" He suggested to Abu Bakr to document the Quran. Right? At that time, the Quran was not what? Was not documented, was not written. Right? It was not written as what? As a book. You get it? So Umar came to Abu Bakr and said to him, document the Quran because X number of what? The Hufaz died in what? In the battle of Yamama. And I fear that when this continue, the Quran will fade away by the death of this Hufaz. You get it? So what was the response of Abu Bakr? Abu Bakr said to Umar, "Atamuruni an afala shay'an lam yaf'alahu an-nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Are you commanding me to do, or are you suggesting to me to do something that the Prophet did not do? And what did Umar say? Umar said, "Innahu la khayr." Innahu la khayr. So Abu Bakr said, "Why are you suggesting that I do something that the Prophet did not do?" And Umar said to him, "Innahu la khayr." It is good. Right? So from this, and what happened later? Umar kept what? He followed up on it until Abu Bakr what? Abu Bakr understood. Abu Bakr said, "Hatta sharaha Allahu sadri." Hatta sharaha sadri. So he said, Umar kept what? Following up on this until what? I got to, until Allah inspired me that it's what? It's something good. Allah inspired him, it does not mean he received the revelation. No. He understood the goodness in what? In it. Right? So he accepted the what? He accepted Umar's proposal, Umar's suggestion. Do you get it? Okay. Now what do you understand from this story? And then it's an authentic story, it's not something concocted. What do you understand from this story? I mean, in relation to our topic, Bid'ah. What do you understand?
So it's more like if there is an innovation of something that will benefit the community or the society, even if it has no basic and it doesn't go against the teaching of the Prophet. It's allowed.
That's what you understood from this story? Is this what you understood from this story?
Part.
But from me, I can see you have different opinion on Bid'ah.
On Bid'ah. Yes, it means they have different understanding of Bid'ah. What do you understand?
From those different opinions?
No, from the scenario of Abu Bakr and Umar, from the conversation of Umar and Abu Bakr.
Abu Bakr, he was of the view that since brother didn't do it, I mean, he doesn't see the need to do because it's not been done by the Prophet. Someone who is better than him. So, and Umar is seeing something good in it and which will benefit society and the Muslim community. So he is saying that even though the Prophet didn't do it, that this will help. Right? So he said, like he said, in the there's goodness in it.
Yes.
So he is seeing that as far as it doesn't go contradicting the Prophet's saying or his actions, right? So it is good, and if there's goodness in it, then I mean you can go ahead.
Yes. So here we understand that even the Sahabah, they have what? Different understanding of what? Of Bidah. So now what happened to the understanding of Abu Bakr on Bidah?
Abu Bakr?
Yeah. From this scenario.
Because for him, as far as the Prophet didn't do it, for him, he can't do it.
So, but what happened later?
Yeah, he understood.
Yes. So he understood that yes, even though the Prophet did not do it, but there's goodness in it. And this action does not what? Contradict the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. Do you get it?
No.
So here, this is what the scholars took from what? As you can see the what? The first definition by Imam Shafi. Right? So he said what? The Bidah are what? Are two. Accepted one and what? Rejected one. And then the accepted one is the one that goes in line with the teaching of the Sunnah. And then the one that is rejected is the one that's what? Contradicts the teaching of what? Of the Sunnah. So that is it. So here, the Prophet did not do, but there's goodness in it. And then that thing does not what? Contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. So in such case, it's what? It's accepted. It can be considered what? Bidah and Balal. You get it? So here, the question is, has Abu Bakr acted on Umar's suggestion or not? Yeah, he did. So now, another example related to the same issue. So after Umar and Abu Bakr understood or came to the conclusion that they would document the Quran, what happened? Abu Bakr called on what? On a young companion, Zayd bin Thabit. And then he said, he made him what? The head of the committee. The head of what? The committee of what? The documentation of the Quran. So he called him and he said, you are young, well versed in what? In Arabic calligraphy, and you understand languages. And also you were one of the scribes of the Prophet. You used to write the wahi for the Prophet. So take what? Come and then what? Compile the Quran. So what was the response of Zayd bin Thabit? What did he say? Zayd bin Thabit said, أتأمراني أن أفعل شيئا لم يفعله النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, are you commanding me? Are you two? Meaning he's referring to Abu Bakr and Umar. Are you commanding me to do something the Prophet did not do? Now, who is speaking? Who invited Zayd bin Thabit? Abu Bakr, because he is the what? He's the Khalifa. And proposed to him the same proposal Umar proposed to him. And then look at the response of Zayd bin Thabit as the response of Abu Bakr. But now, what did Abu Bakr say to him? Abu Bakr said, إِنَّهُ لَخَيْرٌ. Abu Bakr said, إِنَّهُ لَخَيْرٌ. There is goodness in it. It is good. Even though the Prophet did not. And what happened? So, Abu Bakr keep what? Following up on this issue until Allah inspired Zayd bin Thabit on what? On the same issue, and understood that yes, even though the Prophet did not do, but there's goodness in it. And then he took charge of that, and then he compiled the Quran. Do you get it? So from this, we can understand even the Sahabas, they had what? Different understanding of what? Of Bidah. But they all agree that, I mean, of course, in this scenario, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Zayd bin Thabit, they agree that if there's something the Prophet did not do, does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, but there's goodness in it, it is not what? It's not bid'ah. It's not bid'ah in Dalal. Even if it will be considered what? Bid'ah, innovation, but this is what? An accepted what? Innovation. Is it clear?
But again, on what you said, but you get most scholars saying the Prophet said, "Alaykum bi-sunnati khulafa." So that means even if Umar accept or Abu Bakr or Sayyidina Ali, for that one,
It's Sunnah to Khulafa.
but as far as the from downwards going, for them they are
not part of the
they are
Khulafa.
not parts.
Okay. So now, this is a very good question. He said, the Prophet said, Alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati khulafai ar-rashidin. Hold fast to my sunnah and the sunnah of what? The four guided khalifs after me. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. Okay? So meaning he said, follow my sunnah and the sunnah of what? These four guided khalifs. And then there's another narration that says, اقتدوا بالذين من بعدي أبو بكر وعمر. Imitate, follow the sunnah of these two caliphs after me, Abu Bakr and Umar. Right? So does this mean that the khulafa, they have different sunnah from the sunnah of the Prophet? Is that what it means? No. The sunnah of khulafa is the same as the sunnah of the Prophet. There's no difference here. Even though the Prophet said, Alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati khulafai ar-rashidin. How did we know? Now, Abu Bakr, does Abu Bakr know this hadith? Does he know this?
Yes.
Does Umar know this hadith?
The Alaykum bi-sunnati.
Yes. Of course, they know it. They know it. And then at that time, if the Prophet says something about a companion, those available, those present, what? Will convey it to them. Not every teaching, but if the Prophet says something about a certain companion, those present, what? Will convey it to them. So definitely these Sahabas, they know this hadith. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, they know this hadith. So now, another question. When Umar came to Abu Bakr and said to him, compile the Quran because X number of what? The Hufaz are what? Are dead. What did Abu Bakr say? Are you commanding me to do something the Prophet did not do? But why didn't he say, oh, let's do it, since I'm what? I'm one of the Khulafa Rashidin. I can also do something even if the Prophet did not do, because the Prophet said, Alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati Khulafa Rashidin. And then Umar would have what? Reminded him of that hadith. But Umar did not do that. Zayd ibn Thabit is also one of the scholars of the Sahabah. He would have what? Reminded them. If they were what? If they were to have a sunnah other than the sunnah of the Prophet. Do you get it? So the Khulafa, they don't have any other sunnah. Their sunnah is the sunnah of the Prophet. So they can't legislate something in the religion. Do you get it? They can't legislate something in the religion. Because the Prophet, the sunnah of the Prophet is also one of the legislators. He has the authority, but no one else has. So if the Khulafa introduce something that contradicts the Quran and the Sunnah, the Sahabas will reject it. They will not say, the Prophet said, Alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati khulafa ar-rashidin. Do you get it? So the Khulafa, they don't have any what? Different Sunnah, right? From the Sunnah of the Prophet. So this is not what? This is not an evidence. You get it? Because Umar, if that is an evidence, Umar introduced something. Umar brought an opinion severally, and then some companions were rejected. They didn't say that it's one of the Khulafa, and this is what the Prophet said.
But about the deen or something else?
Of course, this we are talking about the deen, not on any other thing. So for instance, Umar said, he once said, from now onwards, no one should give a dowry no one should pay a dowry more than a certain amount. He what? He specified the amount. And then a woman in the congregation said, Allah said, وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمُ اسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا وَتَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. So when Umar said that, the woman said, but this is what Allah is saying, and this is what you are saying. So what happened? Umar what? Umar retracted. Umar what? Retracted, and he withdrew from what? From that statement. You get it? So they don't have any other sunnah. Their sunnah is the sunnah of the Prophet. You get it? And then once Umar also said, he declared and said that anyone who was married, or anyone who is married to the Jews and then the Christians should what? Should free them, meaning should divorce them. And Abdullah ibn Abbas, one of the Abadila, said to him, are you claiming that marrying this the Christians and the Jews is haram? Then Umar said no. You get it? So supposing this Khulafa Rashidin, they have other sunnah, a sunnah other than the Prophet, these Sahabas wouldn't have what? Opposed. You get it? So their sunnah is the sunnah of the Prophet. They don't contradict and they don't have any new sunnah. Right? But when the Khulafa Rashidin introduce something that does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, then the Sahabas what? The Sahabas accept. For instance, when Umar introduced the Salat al-Tarawih, it was in the time of the Prophet, but they used not to pray in what? In congregation, and then the number of rakat too. So he made Ubay ibn Ka'ab as the Imam, and then asked them to pray 20 rakat. This was not there in the time of what? The time of the Prophet. So this will be considered what? Sunnah to Khulafa Rashidin. So does this contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah?
No.
It does not. So this will be considered Sunnah to Khulafa Rashidin. So the Sunnah of Khulafa Rashidin, it has to what? Be in conformity with the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. Okay? So from this we understand that the Khulafa Rashidin, they don't have any what? Any Sunnah from the Sunnah of what? The Prophet. Their Sunnah is the Sunnah of the Prophet. Do you get it? Okay. So now let's look at some things. Are you tired? Should we proceed?
Yeah, proceed.
Should we proceed?
No.
Okay. Because there are things that we also have to mention on this particular issue. So now let's look at the understanding of some Sahabas on the issue of Bid'ah. Then we look at issues that were considered to be Bid'ah that are not Bid'ah. Then we end it there. Is it clear? Should we proceed or we should proceed?
Let's proceed.
Okay. Now, let's look at certain things that the Sahabas did. Okay? So now these things that we are coming to look at, they are things that the Sahabas did that the Prophet did not do. Yes. But they were rewarded for it, and then the Prophet ﷺ did not what? Condemn it. Let's start with Bilal. There's a companion by the name Bilal ibn Rabah. This is the Mu'adhin of the Prophet. He's also one of the early Muslims, those who embraced Islam in Mecca. Right? Bilal ibn Rabah. And then he served the Prophet for a very long time. So meaning he knew the Sunnah of the Prophet. So Bilal, after Fajr prayer, the Prophet ﷺ called Bilal. He said, Ya Bilal, حدثني بأرجى عمل عملته في الإسلام. The Prophet said to him, Oh Bilal, inform me about the best deeds or the best action that you've performed since you embraced Islam. What did Bilal say? And then he said to him, why is the Prophet asking him this? He said, then the Prophet continued to say, فَإِنِّي سَمِعْتُ دُفَّنَ عَلَيْكَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Because I heard what? I heard the sound of your footsteps in Jannah. Right? And in another narration, the Prophet asked him, بِمَا سَبَقْتَنِي إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Why did Allah give you this rank in Jannah before me? But of course, the Prophet will enter Jannah before any other person, right? But Allah was giving him a very high rank in Jannah. So the Prophet was asking him, what was the best deed that you did since you embraced Islam? And Bilal said, I used not to do anything, or I did not do any big thing in Islam, or anything, worth mentioning since I embraced Islam. He said, just that whenever I perform ablution, I pray rakat for that ablution, what Allah has ordained for me to pray, or what Allah has decreed for me to pray. Meaning, whenever he perform ablution, he will pray voluntary prayer because of that ablution. Do you get it? So it's kind of what sunnatul wudu. Right? So Bilal has been doing this for a very long time, and Allah gave him this rank in Jannah. So let's ask, was the Prophet ﷺ doing this? The Prophet was not doing this, right? The Prophet did not do that. But why did Bilal do that when he knew very well that the Prophet was not doing it? Why did he do this?
Because he didn't went against the Quran and the Sunnah.
Yes, because that action does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. Even though the Prophet did not do it. So how will you categorize the understanding of Bilal on Bid'ah in this?
Since it does not contradict the Quran and the Sunnah,
Then it's something. As far as there's goodness in it. So Allah rewarded him for this action. But some will argue that, but the Prophet approved of it. This is not a strong argument. Why? Because he was rewarded for it before the Prophet saw. The Prophet saw what? His rank in Jannah. The Prophet saw what? Allah showed the rank of Bilal in Jannah for that action. So this has nothing to do with the Prophet's approval. Do you get it? Yes. Because supposing the Prophet has seen it long ago before Allah showed the Prophet Bilal's rank in Jannah, then we say it's we will say that it's part of the Sunnah because the Prophet had already approved it. But here the Prophet did not approve it. Allah showed the Prophet the rank of Bilal in Jannah. Do you get it? So here it has nothing to do with what? The approval of the Prophet. So here we will understand that Bilal is one of the Sahabas who understood that even there are things that the Prophet did not do, but you can do, and it's still what? It's still accepted in Islam, since it does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. You get it? And then also let's look at what Bilal did. Bilal, whenever he performed ablution, whether it's time for prayer or not, he will pray 2 or 4 rakat. Does this thing contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah? No, because Salah is part of Islam, right? So what did the Prophet say? Man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna. Whoever acts on something that is not what? Our commandment, fahuwa radd. So it's not a part of our commandment. So is Salah not part of his commandment? It is. It is part of the commandment because it's part of Islam. But the Prophet used not what? perform rakat after what? After ablution. This is what? This is the innovation. But Bilal did not see it as what? As innovation. Since it's what? It does not contradict any teaching of what? Of the Sharia. Is it clear? So here we understand that Bilal is one of the Sahabas who don't see what? Things that the Prophet did not do to be bid'ah. Is it clear? Okay. Now, let's look at another example of a companion. There's a companion, there's a hadith of Rifa'a bin Rafi'. It's also an authentic hadith recorded by Imam Muslim. This companion said we were once praying behind the Prophet ﷺ. And then the Prophet rise from what? From ruku. And he said, the Prophet said, Sami Allahu liman hamid. And then the companion said, he was behind the Prophet, he said, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan. This is the dua that the companion said. And this dua, the Prophet never said it in prayer. The Prophet never said it in prayer. But what happened? After prayer, the Prophet said, Manil mutakallim. Or in another narration, he said, Ma sahibu man sahibul kalima. He said, who said this previously? And then the Prophet, the man said, I. Then the Prophet said, I saw over 30 angels racing to write the reward. So this companion did something that the Prophet did not do. In Salah. And then Allah sent, because angels, they don't come to write reward by their own selves. They don't what? They don't act. They don't go where they want. No. Allah said, لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. They don't what? They don't act contrary to what Allah has commanded them. And they do what Allah commands them to do. So they came there with what? With the commandment of Allah. So the Prophet said, I saw over 30 angels racing to write the reward of what the man said. And this thing that the man said, the Prophet did not say it. And also look at where the man said it. He said it in what? In Salah. Even with that, Allah accepted it and then sent an angel to write the reward. So does this fall under the approval of the Prophet or not? The Prophet was in the prayer. So what time did the Prophet approve of it? And what time did the angel, Allah sent the angel to come and write the reward? The Prophet did not approve of this. Right? Since he was leading the prayer. So here we understand that anything new, and this is something new, but does this contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah? No. Even though it's something new, the Prophet has not said it. But it's what? It's something good. It's a high praise to what? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah rewarded what? Allah rewarded.
So, but can someone also argue that, let's say, before the Prophet taught them how to pray, their Sahabas.
Before the Prophet
taught them how to pray.
Okay.
The Sahabas. You said in one hadith, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli."
Yes.
So, meaning they learned out the Salah from him, the Sahabas. So, if this wasn't part of the Salah and he did it in the Salah, can we say it contradicts with what? Because if he didn't do it, in his prayer, and the man did it in the prayer, then does it contradict with that hadith? That Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli.
It does not contradict. It does not contradict. Even though, if it did contradict, the Prophet would have opposed. The Prophet would have objected what the companion did, but the Prophet did not do it. And this tells us that yes, even though the Prophet did not do it, but Allah still accepted it. Alright, so here you can see that the Prophet ﷺ did not what? Did not object what the companion did in Salah, even though the Prophet did not do it. And we can't say this is the approval of the Prophet, because it's obvious that the angels came with what the commandment of Allah to write it immediately when they are done praying. So, and then also there's a rule that the Prophet don't have to approve before Allah will reward. No, it's Allah who reward. So Allah loves what the servant did, and then He rewarded him. So here with the approval of the Prophet or not, you get it? So here we can't say what it is because the Prophet approved. Now the question will be, when did the Prophet approve? The Prophet was in prayer. He heard it, and after when he's done praying, Allah sent angels to him. So when did the Prophet approve, and when did Allah send angels? You get it? So this does not follow there. For of course it's part of the Sunnah because the Prophet has seen it and they know what they know approve. But he was rewarded by Allah before the Prophet knew of it. Do you get it? So from here to we understand that there are certain things that the Prophet did not do or see, but will not still be considered what? Under the rejected, it will not be considered what? A bid'ah, dalala. You understand? And from this hadith, there's a renowned scholar by the name Ibn Hajar. He said that from here we understand. We said that we can deduce that it is permissible to introduce a zikr in salah. That's what he said from this authentic hadith. Because the Prophet, the companion said this hadith, the Prophet never said it. And then it became what? It became part of what? Part of the azkar that we say in prayer. So here, this fall under what? Man sanna fil Islami sunnatan hasana. So here, whenever we pray and make this dua, the companion what? Will get the reward, since he's the one who introduced it. Do you get it?
Actually, this act for me, like according to my observation,
Okay.
is very dangerous, because if maybe the Prophet was not there, will some scholars accept what he did, because this is Salah, and I mean Salah is something different, not other.
So the issue is that the companion, didn't he know that it was Salah?
He knew.
So are you saying that he said that because the Prophet was there? Did he say that because the Prophet was there? No. And then this scholar who is saying this, he's not drunk when he said what he said. You get it? So they know, especially hadith scholars, they don't just say things like that. You get it? Yeah, but I understand your point. It doesn't mean that we should just be introducing things in Salah that is not. No. You get it? Yes. But this is what the scholar is saying in Hajar. And then he also said we can deduce from this incident that we can watch, we can say zikr loudly. Since the Prophet heard him when he said that. Because after the prayer, because asked him, Man sahibu, man al-mutakallim. Who said this earlier? Who was the speaker earlier? Right? And then he raised his hand. You get it? So all these are evidence that yes, there are things that the Prophet did not do, but still it can still, we don't, scholars don't see it to be bid out in Bala. You get it?
So, with such azkar too, are you supposed to say it louder?
In Salah? So this companion said it and the Prophet heard it.
No, louder in a way that someone a bit distant.
So here, Ibn Hajar also said, yes, Ibn Hajar said, it is permissible to say azkar loudly as far as it does not disturb others. So if saying it loud will disturb others, then It's better you what? You say it was silent. You get it?
There was an incident that some three Sahabahs came to I don't know whether to Aisha or...
Yeah, to the wives of the Prophet.
Yeah, and then they asked them about how the prophets,
the actions of the Prophet, how the Prophet...
And they said he fasts and then he does Qiyam al-Layl.
prayer at night.
Yeah. So, and then they were saying that since he's a prophet and he's doing this, then for them, one of them said he fasting till keep on fasting, and like every day fast.
He will not break.
Fast. And then the other one said he will not even get married. He just
focus on ibadah.
And then the prophet when the prophet came, he heard about it. This incident that the Sahabas came to ask him and they left. Then he said it, I think in khutbah or something like that. I don't know where he said it, man. He said that I am the prophet and I fast and I break. And I also love women, I marry women. And then I pray during the night. I divide the night, I just sleep, and I also have sunnah of my wives. And he said anybody who does not see this,
who does not practice
this, it's not part of my sunnah. Yeah. So to the Sahabas, they were thinking that okay, well, if he is doing this, then I'll fast every day. I'm fasting every day because I'm doing good for me. So from their thinking, but the Prophet came to condemn it. So, but you can't. There's no any hadith or Quran like that goes against you fasting every day or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. So you see that all that is said, one way or the other, it contradicts either the teaching of the Quran or the Sunnah of the Prophet. Now, they came to the Prophet, they went to the wives of the Prophet. Alright, so another example on things that the companions did that the Prophet did not do, but still were rewarded for what? For it. So once the Prophet ﷺ, okay, let's use this example. There's this story of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. They were a group of companions. They were on a journey, and then they went to spend the night in a certain area, in a certain community, and they went to the people of the community to host them, right? And then they refused, as it happened to what? To Musa and Khadir. So they refused. And then the people later, and then in that same night, they came to them that the chief of that community was affected by what? By a scorpion. Right? So they came to them that they said to themselves that, okay, there are people here who came from what? From a different place. Let's go to them. Maybe they can what? They can help. So they tried all they could to what? To help the chief from the bite. But it's all failed. So they came to these companions and then narrated to them what happened. And then they said, okay, we know you came from what? From Medina. And then this is what happened to our chief. And we want you to come and recite some of your scriptures to our chief. And we hope that you may find healing from your recitation or incantation. So Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, okay, we will do that. But since you refuse to host us, we will take a reward for what? For our incantation, for this ruqya. So they went. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri went and then they recited Surah al-Fatiha. They recited Surah al-Fatiha on the chief, where the bite was. And then he got healing. He became fine. He was okay. He became okay after the ruqya. So they were given, I think, a sheep or more than that, more than a sheep. So they came to the Prophet ﷺ and narrated to the Prophet ﷺ what happened. And so they narrated to the Prophet what happened. And the Prophet asked Abu Sa'id al-Khudri that he said to the Prophet, I recited Fatiha and then the man got healing and all that. He said, وَمَا أَدْرَكَ أَنَّهَا رُقْيَةٌ. How did you know that it's ruqya? How did you know that it's what? It's ruqya. So now this ruqya, it's also something of what? Related to the religion, right? Yeah, because he used the Quran, the words of Allah, as what? As the ruqya. So he came to the Prophet asked him, how did you know that this is what? This is ruqya. And then the Prophet said, okay, then give me my share from what? From what you were given. And the Prophet took what? Took a share from what? From what they were given. Right? So this incident also, scholars use it as what? As evidence that companions or some certain things can be done even though the Prophet did not do. So such thing, this what he did, the recitation of Fatiha, this is ruqya that he did. He used the Quran to what? To do that. Has the Prophet ever done this? No, but he did it. And then also what? They got the result. So here, does what Abu Sa'id al-Khudri did, does it contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah? Was there goodness in it or not? Yes. So here we understand that there are certain things that are introduced, that can be introduced in the religion, that does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, and there's still what? There's still goodness in it. This is what? This cannot be considered as bid'ah and dalala.
So, but this is like someone also argued that this, Allah says that we have revealed this Quran as a medicine.
وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ.
For the mu'minin and then destruction for the believers.
Yes.
So can someone also use this as, let's say, it was already in the Quran before? I mean, we understood from that verse or something.
Yeah, so, now we will ask, upon whom was this Quran revealed? Okay, so why was the Prophet asking, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ أَنَّهَا رُقْيَةٌ?
I get that point, but...
No, we are trying to understand.
Yes.
Why did the Prophet ask him, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ أَنَّهَا رُقْيَةٌ? So from this verse, someone can say that, someone can argue that, okay, the Quran and its entirety is what? Is shifa. And yes, some scholars said that. But if it is shifa, and this Sahabi, he used Fatiha for ruqya, why did the Prophet ask him, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ أَنَّهَا رُقْيَةٌ? If the understanding should be that the Quran and its entirety is ruqya. Right? So some commentators said that the Prophet was surprised. How he got to know that Fatiha is a ruqya. You get it? So if the Quran, if the understanding of the Quran, this ayah, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. If the understanding were to be that the entire Quran is ruqya, the Prophet wouldn't have what? Asked this. You understand? So that was what? This was never their understanding of it. But of course there's shifa lil qulub wa shifa lil abdan in the Quran. Some scholars said no, the shifa in the Quran it's only shifa lima fi sudur. And also said no, shifa lima fi sudur wa shifa lima fil abdan. It's what? It heals the sicknesses in what? In the heart diseases, the spiritual heart diseases, and also what? It also serves as what? As healing to what? To the flesh as well. Okay, so this also there's also discussion on it from the scholars. Okay, so from this we can understand that no, this was not their understanding. Do you get it? This was not their understanding. Every part of the Quran is what? Is shifa, is ruqya. If that was the case, the Prophet wouldn't have what? Been surprised in the first place. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ أَنَّهَا رُقْيَةٌ. You get it?
So, was this hadith an evidence to the fact that, I mean, when someone is having something or he seeks something, he calls some people to come and say, and give them a gift at the end of the day?
Okay, so now, this issue, we will look at it. When we are done with what understanding of the scholars, Sahabas on Bid'ah. So do you get it here? Now you can see that some Sahabas have introduced certain things in the religion that the Prophet did not do, but they were still what? Rewarded for it. Okay? And there are many examples. There's a companion who said, Allahu Akbar kabira walhamdulillahi kathira wa subhanallahi bukratan wa asila. Do you know this zikr? When do we say this? On Eid. Okay? This was what? A dua that a companion said in Salah. And then, do you know what the Prophet said? The Prophet said, Futihat lahunna abawab as-sama. Allah opened the heavens, the doors of heavens for this what? For this words. I mean, this companion who said this, Allah, because of this what? This words, Allah has what? Opened the doors of what? Of heavens. I mean, if I say heavens, I don't mean Jannah, Sama. Okay? Because of what? Because of this. So it means something good, and the Prophet did not also what? The Prophet did not say it. The Prophet never said this.
So again, on the tafsir, but I don't know if there's, but behind there's hadith that the Prophet said, you will not get, maybe you will not find some group of people in the masjid.
Yeah.
Trying to, I mean, like,
Majtama qawmun fi baytin min buyutillahi yatluna kitaballah. Yeah.
Maybe you use that as maybe tafsir for that one. The Prophet has already said it already.
The tafsir?
Like maybe the one that we do in Ramadan.
Yeah.
Maybe they will use this evidence against what is.
Okay, we will come to this when we get to the things that were considered declared as bid'ah that are not bid'ah. So we will look at this too. Okay. So as you can see, there are many things, and then also there's another example that once the Prophet came to the mosque and saw companions sitting in a circle invoking praises to Allah, and then the Prophet asked him, "Ma ajlasakum?" Then they said, "We are here to what? To praise Allah and thank Him for guiding us to Islam." And then the Prophet said, "Allahu ma ajlasakum illa hada?" Then they said, "Naam. Wallahi ma ajlasana illa hada." And then they said, the Prophet said, "Ja'ani Jibril fa akhbarani anna Allah yubahi bikum al-malaika." So here, when the Prophet saw them in a zikr, they were making zikr, like zikr, as from the report they were what? They were thanking Allah, alhamdulillah, for what? For guiding them to Islam. So the Prophet asked them, why are you seated here? And then they said, "We are here to what? To thank Allah, to praise Allah and thank Him for guiding us." And then the Prophet asked him, "Allahumma ajlasakum illa hada?" And then the Prophet asked them to swear that, are they sure that there's nothing that made them sit here except what they've said, except the praises of Allah and then thanking Allah? Then they said, "Yes. Ma ajlasana illa hada." Then the Prophet said, "I did not ask you to swear because I doubt you." He said, "Because Jibril came to me and informed me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is proud of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is proud of you." Okay, when you look at this scenario too, what the Sahabas did, has the Prophet ever done it with the Sahabas? No. They were sitting in a circle invoking praises on Allah. Okay? So this, the Prophet has never done it with the companions. Also, okay, let's also look at it. Is this something in this that contradicts the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah?
No.
No. So therefore, this cannot be considered what? Bid'atun dalal. Do you understand? So from the definition, if there's something that has no basis in the Quran and does not contradict the Quran. So here, this thing, does it has basis in the Quran or not?
It has.
It has. Where?
Zikr.
ذكر ولذكر الله أكبر وفعلوا الخير لعلكم تفلحون واذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة وأصيلا. Right? So this has basis, even though the Prophet did not do it. Do you get it? So this is the understanding of what bid'ah among the Sahabas. So from this, you understand many of the Sahabas, they understood bid'ah, that bid'ah is something that you do that contradict the teachings of the Quran. And then it is not a bid'ah if it does not contradict the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, even if the Prophet did not do it. And this example. Do you get it?
So that means Imam Shafi's definition of bid'ah is a standardized definition.
No, we can't say that. It's a definition, it's one of the definitions given by the scholars. As we also said, Imam al-Jurjani also gave us a definition. Imam Shatibi also gave a definition. And then there are other definitions too. Okay? But honestly, the definition that I go with, when you look at the definition and study it well, you can see that there's no difference from what? From the definition. Do you get it? Because Imam al-Jurjani said that it's something that the Sahabas, something innovated that the Sahabas and the Tabi'un don't know it. Meaning, it has no basis. If it were to have basis, they would have what? They would have known it. They would have what? Known it. Okay? And then also, has no basis in what? From the Quran. So it means if it has basis, then it's not better. Okay?
So from this definition, Imam Mujani, from his definition, can you something like what I was saying before, there's no hadith of Quranic verse condemning it, and there's no hadith of Quranic verse approving it.
Yes.
And then, but there's no Sahabah, none of the Sahabah know about it, and doesn't have basis in the Quran. But you see that something good in it. It's allowed. It's allowed.
Yeah, this is also allowed. This is also allowed. There's goodness in it. Does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. And then the Sunnah or the Quran has not what? Mentioned it. They've not condemned it. But there's goodness in it. This is not better. This is good.
So again, if maybe like the Quran, Hadith, Fiqh, Usul al-Fiqh, maybe there's some issue, maybe can you create something to solve that issue? Is it accepted or not? And is it bid'ah or it's not bid'ah?
No, this cannot be bid'ah. Since it's something good that will benefit the people, the Quran and the Sunnah is not against it. It's something good. You get it? So now, let's move on to things that were declared bid'ah that are not bid'ah. Let's look at the issue of... let's look at the issue of what? Musabbah, the zikirmatic, the tasbih, the tasbah, musabbah. You know, there's this tasbah. It's called musabbah or zikirmatic. This zikirmatic, the one people use to what? To make zikr. This zikirmatic, musabbah, okay, or tasbah. Huh? Okay. You know, yes, this. Yeah. You know, give it to me.
No.
You know this musabbah. You know this musabbah, right? This people use it for what? For zikr. Okay. This, and then now we have the electronic what? The electronic zikirmatic, right? Okay. So now some time ago, there was this serious condemnation about this thing. That is what? It's bidah. And then the argument is that the Prophet did not use it. The Sahabas did not use it. If it were to be good, the Prophet would have what? The Prophet would have used it. And then with such people, when they want to condemn something, they will bring all evidence. Things that are considered evidence and things that are not even evidence to condemn it. So you hear someone saying this is what? The origin is from what? From the Hindus. And then all that. Just what? To just condemn it and say it has no basis in Islam and all that. But this, honestly, it has nothing to do with what? With Islam. Yes, it has nothing to do with Islam. Why? This, you use it, right? Just to what? Why do we use it? For what? No. Why do we use it?
To count many times.
To count what you've said, right? Okay. Now you count what you see. The zikr that you've said. Now you say, Subhanallah, 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 Subhanallah. With what? With the fingers. Okay. I use this. Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Okay. Now what is the difference here? Is there any difference?
No.
In the sight of Allah, is there any difference here? There's no difference. This is saying Subhanallah, this is saying Subhanallah. There's no difference. Whether you use your finger to count or you use what? The musabbah to count. Do you get it? So the most important thing here is what? Is what you say, not what you use in counting. Because this is just a tool for counting. Just a tool. Now, the microphone, what is it? It's a tool to amplify your voice. So this also a tool for what? For counting. And then it can't be bidah. It's not, it has nothing to do with bidah. Yes. It has nothing to do with what? Yes.
But for me, the reason why the microphone, like you say something and that thing will lead to them to bring, because they think that the Prophet didn't do it. And then they will say, yes, the Prophet too didn't use mic.
No. I brought this microphone. This is not part of our discussion. Why? Because this is a technological innovation. This is accepted. Right? But I'm saying that this is a tool as what? As microphone tool is what? It's a tool. Right? So this, it's not what? It's not even part of what? The discussion. But because some don't like it, those who condemn it don't like it, they find all means to what? To condemn it. Okay? So this has what? It has nothing to do with what? To do with bidah. You get it? So this, to say that zikr, using the musabbah is what? Is bidah, because the Prophet did not do it. This what? This is totally, this is a wrong argument. It's a very weak argument. It's a very what? It's a very weak argument, because the most important thing is what? Is what you see, not what you use in counting. Do you get it? Okay, now let's look at it from what? From our discussion. This, the Prophet did not use it, right? Does it contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah? No. Even though, of course, it has no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah, and it also what? Does not contradict the Quran and the Sunnah. And then there are people, when they don't use this, they what? Yes, some get confused. Some also, they forget themselves. You know, they forget themselves. So someone, for him to feel that he's making zikr, he what? He need this to what? To count. So you can't what? You can't say, okay, because I don't like it, then I have to condemn it. Or because the Prophet did not use it, then using it is better. This is what? This, as I said, is what? It has what? Nothing to do with what? To do with bidah. It has nothing to do with what? With the Sharia. Since it's what? It's just a tool for what? For counting. Right? So the most important thing is what you see, not what you use in what? In counting. So for instance, you are not using this, you are using stones to count. What of that one? No difference. No. There's no difference. So would that affect your reward of saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah? Will it affect it?
No.
Nothing. So is the person using finger better than the person using this? No. So the most important thing is what you say. Okay. Any question?
No, I have a contribution. Aside being a tool, it also serves as a reminder to you. Anytime you are working with it, you remember to do zikr.
Yeah, you
so
remember.
It does has a contribution in that as well.
Yeah. You know, is there any question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
So,
when normally you see some people hang it around their neck,
yeah.
and they are being tagged by names.
Yes. Okay. Also, now because of some don't like, those who condemn it, they will say what this is Shi'ar Ahl al-Bidah. It's what is a symbol of what? Innovators. Okay? So they call those who hang this on their neck that they are innovators. Just because of what? Putting it on their neck. This, it has nothing to do with Islam. Whether you put it on your neck, your hands, you put it in your pocket. But here, I mean, ethically, I would advise that since you are using it for zikr, you are done zikr, put it in your pocket. You get it? But if a person decides to put it on his neck, what is the problem? What is the problem? You get it? So, may Allah grant us understanding. Alright, so now let's move on to what? A different thing. Now, there's this issue of what? Wazifa. Right? This wazifa too, they've condemned it as what? It's bid'ah. Why? Because the Prophet did not do it. The Sahabahs did not do it. If it were to be good, the Prophet would have done it. Okay. So now let's look at it. From what? From religious perspective and scholarly perspective. So this, from your understanding, from what we've discussed so far, do you see wazifa to be bid'ah?
So what is wazifa?
Wazifa, you don't know wazifa? Okay, this wazifa, it's a circle of zikr, okay? People gather in a mosque or at a place. They sit round and then what? And then spread a white cloth in the middle. Okay, then they will start with what? With Salat al-Fatih. There is Salat, this Salat al-Nabi. There we have Salat al-Ibrahimiyya taught by the Prophet. And then this Salat al-Fatih, some people say it, Salat al-Fatih. And so they will start with Salat al-Fatih, and then they will continue with La ilaha illallah, la ilaha. Yes, that's what the wazifa. Okay? So now, from our discussion, do you see this to be bid'ah?
For me, no. But how you will do it, that's where I get it.
Okay, so you think, from your understanding of our discussion, you don't see the wazifa.
Because
no, wait. You don't see the wazifa to be bid'ah.
No.
So you say that you are saying that the way they do it is what will determine whether it's bid'ah or not.
No.
Okay. Any other opinion?
So I think I actually second with Shuaib, but my contribution is that from what we've discussed so far, wazifa is not haram, but
Wazifa is not bid'ah.
it's not bid'ah stuff. It's not bid'ah, but the intention as well, that maybe they are doing what they are having in mind. Also, the right thing they are putting there, why they are that kind of intention happens. I think that also determine whether it's bid'ah or not.
Okay. Do you want to say something? Okay. Do you want to say something? He said, okay. Now let's look at it, what they do. And let's look at it whether it conforms with the teaching of the Quran or the Sunnah. Or it contradicts it. Now, when they sit round, right? Okay. Does this contradict the Sunnah? Is it in conformity with the Sunnah? Yeah, since the Prophet saw companions sitting round, and then he said that Allah is what? Allah is proud of them. So sitting round in a zikr circle is what? It's not what? It's in conformity with with the sunnah. So this not bid'ah. So now, they start with what? With Salat al-Fatih. So this Salat al-Fatih, is it in conformity with the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, or it contradicts the Quran and the Sunnah?
Well, we have to know the context and then the meaning and the origin.
Now, this Salat al-Fatih, honestly, I have not memorized this Salat al-Fatih, and I don't say it anyway. I don't say it, but they say it. They consider it to be one of what? The salutation upon the Prophet and okay. So what do you want to say?
But I wanted to ask, because if I'm coming to answer, because they said the Salat al-Fatih is from Sayyidina Ali. So I wanted to ask if it's true from Sayyidina Ali.
Okay. Now, Shuaib is asking, some are claiming that this Salat al-Fatih was said by Ali radiallahu anhu. Yes, this is true. Yes, Ali said this. And you can find this report in Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba. There's a renowned hadith scholar by Imam Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba. He has a Musannaf, it's in the Musannaf. Yes, Ali used to say in one of his zikr. This is not the only, he has a very lengthy azkar, he say, and this is part of it. Yes. This is part of it. Ali radiallahu anhu. Yani Ali bin Abi Talib.
No.
Yes. So, is this bid'ah, the Salat al-Fatih?
No.
It's not bid'ah. Even if the Prophet did not say it. There are many, like Imam al-Shafi'i, he has his salawat, he say. He don't say the Salat al-Ibrahimiyya. Of course, in Salah, he says that. He say the Salat al-Ibrahimiyya, but he has what? His way of what? Saluting the Prophet. This is not bid'ah, as far as it does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. Do you get it? So this one, in the second, has nothing what? Does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. And then the Salat al-Fatih, it does not also what? Contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. And also, this La ilaha illallah they say, is La ilaha illallah, does it contradict the Quran and the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah?
No.
It does not.
But like, if maybe you are saying like you are singing with it, like, is it accepted?
So this is a good question. Now, what they are saying, La ilaha illallah, it's not bid'ah, right? La ilaha illallah, it's not bid'ah. Since the Prophet, there are many hadiths of the Prophet that says, قولوا لا إله إلا الله تفلحوا من قال لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة من كان آخر كلامه لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة. Whoever say La ilaha illallah, the person what? Will be among the successful ones. Whose final words is La ilaha illallah, the person what? Will be in Jannah. And then many hadiths or hadith are authentic hadith. So here, La ilaha illallah is not what? Saying it is not bid'ah. Okay? But the issue here is the way that they say it. And then raising of the voice is the issue here. Right? Raising of the voice, it's not what? Ethically, it's not good. Why? Because the Quran said, وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ تَضَرُّعًا وَخِيفًا وَدُونَ الْجَهْرِ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ بِالْغُدُوِّ وَالْآصَالِ. So here, we don't raise our voice in what? In zikr. You say zikr what? Silently. Right? You say it what? Silently and slowly. Do you get it? So this issue, this raising of the voice is what? Is problematic here. It's a problem here in this wazifa. You understand? But because of raising of the voice, you can't say what? The complete thing is what? Is bid'ah. You get it? Yeah, raising the voice is what? It's what? It's contradicts what? The ethics, the manners of what? Of zikr. Because zikr, we have what? Manners of zikr. That is to what? To humble yourself to Allah, to what? To lower your voice, okay? And not to what? To raise your voice. This is what? Some of the manners of zikr. But saying that because of the raising of the voice and therefore everything here is bid'ah, this is scholarly not what? Not accepted.
Okay. Sheikh, again,
You get it?
on the raising of the voice, I don't know if there's this hadith which says if you call Allah on a lower voice, he will answer you with a louder voice. But I don't know if the
No, I don't know this hadith. I don't know this hadith. The hadith I know is that the hadith that is hadith al-Qudsi, whoever come to me crawling, I'll come to him walking. Whoever come to me walking, I'll come to him running. Right? This is an authentic hadith, hadith al-Qudsi. But this hadith I don't know.
Also, the hadith that maybe when one is reciting Quran, it shouldn't distract the other by something.
Yeah. Yeah, so that like that. But do you remember the hadith of the man who said Hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi? And then the Prophet said رأيت بدعا وثلاثين ملكا يبتدرونها أيهم يكتب. This hadith, do you remember we discussed it?
Yeah.
The Prophet saw and the Prophet heard that man saying Hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi, and he said, I saw over 30 angels racing, competing to write the reward. Now, and then I mentioned what Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani said, right?
Yeah.
One of the renowned hadith scholars. He said what? This is what? This is, we can deduce from this that we can say what? Zikr loudly, right? But, alright, so, yeah, so looking at this hadith, Ibn Hajar is saying that, yeah, we can deduce from this hadith that we can say what? Zikr loudly, right? Okay, so from this perspective, it's not what? It's not wrong. But, of course, from perspective of many scholars, zikr, the manner of zikr is what? Should be said silently, right? And then should be said also slowly, right? Not what? Not fast. So this is the only thing in what? In the wazifa, that is not what? That is not good. And this cannot be what? Cannot be done. Okay.
on the white cloth, on that one.
Okay, so this white cloth, honestly, I don't know why they put it there. Okay? But I don't know why they put that white cloth there. Okay? So, but I heard that they believe that there are some people who...
For me, I heard there are angels who come, so that's where the angels...
So this, if they believe that angels descend on the white cloth, then this is what? This is also not what? This is not a good belief. Right? This is not what? This is not a good belief. Right? So this belief is what? It's wrong. But what they are doing, aside that the zikr and all that, it does not contradict the teachings. Do you get it? So with these things, when you are dealing with it, you tell them that this, there's a mistake, it's not correct. But this is correct. Correct the mistakes there, and then alhamdulillah. But you don't condemn what? You don't condemn everything and say that because the Prophet did not do it, and then if it were to be good, the Prophet would have done it.
So, judging from the hadith of Umar, the first hadith of Zaman Ahmad bin you can conclude that if something like your first intention of doing something, when the intention becomes impure, it actually nullifies something.
Yeah.
So can we say because of the intention is not good, or maybe their intention or their belief that angels are going to descend, then that is not actually that's actually conflicting with
But this also, the angel will descend on white cloth. When you look at it from different perspective, it does not contradict the sunnah. But to say it descend on the white cloth, it's a problematic. But to say angels descend there, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Because the Prophet said, the hadith of Abu Hurairah, مَجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بُيُوتِ اللَّهِ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ فِيمَا بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِيمَا عِنْدَهُ. And then in another narration, وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Right? People will never gather in the house of Allah, in the mosque, except that Allah what will descend His what? Allah will send down tranquility on their hearts, and then will also وَغَشِيَتُهُمُ الرَّحْمَةِ. He also what? He will also cover them with what? With His mercy, and then also be proud of them among what? In front of what? The angels. Okay, and then in another narration he said وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, and then the angels will what? Will surround them, right? And then there's this, someone will say that the Prophet said يَذْكُرُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ, they recite the book of Allah, وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ فِيمَا بَيْنَهُمْ, and they are teaching one another or discussing it. This is the meaning of the wording of this hadith. But there's another hadith by Abu Huraira. This is by Abu Huraira, and another hadith by Abu Huraira. He said, مَا قَعَدَ قَوْمٌ مَقْعَدًا مَا قَعَدَ قَوْمٌ مَقْعَدًا يذكرون الله إلا حفتهم الملائكة وغشيتهم الرحمة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. This is a hadith by Abu Huraira. And then here he did not mention masjid. He mentioned anywhere when people gather at a place, right? And then also that the angels will what? Will cover them, and Allah will descend His what? He will send down His mercy on them, and then also what? Be proud of them in front of what? The angels. This is also what? An authentic hadith by Abu Huraira. So from this perspective, yeah, the angels will descend, but not on the white cloth. You get it? They descend, but not what? Not on the white cloth. So here we are what? We are discussing about the hadith of the Prophet, right? And then the life of the Sahabas. Are we in the masjid? No. So will the angels come close and then be with us? Will Allah send His tranquility? Yes, because He said, مَا قَعَدَ قَوْمٌ مَقْعَدًا. No people will gather at a place. Right? So here, such gathering is also part of it. So angels will descend. And then also, there are angels that Allah sent to go around on the earth. So wherever they go and see people are gathered, making zikr or saying something, discussing something about the religion, what will happen? They will say that, come, this is what we are looking for. Come here, come and let's gather, this is what we are looking for. So they will go around and be looking at such places. So of course, wherever people gather to invoke praises on Allah, to thank Allah, to remember Allah, angels what? Angels will descend. Do you get it? Yeah. So from this perspective, yes, angels descend, but not what? Not on the white cloth. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what if it happens that the intention is not for the angel to descend, but something else?
Yeah, let's say they are, of course, they are there to what? To praise Allah, to make zikr. So with this, Allah, they will get their reward.
Yeah, but they are believing something else will descend, but not angels.
Yeah, with that, I heard some saying they believe that some of their scholars will descend there. This is a wrong belief. This is a wrong belief, and then it's not acceptable, right? But that also will not deprive them from what? From getting the reward of La ilaha illallah. Because you have no evidence to tell me that those who say La ilaha illallah because they believe in that white cloth, blah blah, they will not be rewarded. There's no text like that. You get it? So with dealing with such things,
according to what he's saying, if I understand what he's saying, like them having the belief that their scholars will descend on the white cloth, it means that by saying La ilaha illallah, that will bring their scholars on the white cloth.
Is that what they believe in?
From what he's saying, because if the La ilaha illallah would bring angels, it was a dhikr, right? But that's due to La ilaha, say La ilaha illallah, which is a dhikr. And that now if the dhikr is bringing your scholars on that white cloth, then it's a problem.
Yeah, then it's a problem.
Because it means that the intention now is not even for maybe let's say the reward or something. Now it's for the scholars to decide.
Yeah, so with this, then it's a problem, right? But how will you know those people's intention?
Yeah, so for more education.
So, but we are looking at what? The apparent, looking at what we can see, right? So based on what we can see, we are given the ruling of what we can see.
Yeah.
I understand. So, may Allah grant us understanding.
Say, my last question on that. So, say, we all know that beliefs can, your intention can nullify something.
Yeah.
As in terms of the reward, but because of the intention you have, it can actually cancel that out. So, can you say in this situation that if they are believing that, their scholars is going to come, Allah will deprive them from the blessing they're going to get at the end of the day?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. And then, but this belief is problematic. That's what I'm saying. But you can also say that they will be deprived from the reward of what saying la ilaha illallah. You can't say that. But this belief is what? It's a problem. You know, it's not good. It's not in conformity with the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. You get it?
But say another question. On the same thing. If they believe that and then they come to do that, it means that that's their intention. Because intention is not just you don't voice it.
Yeah.
It means that I'm coming here to come and do la ilaha illallah. So that because I believe that if I do la ilaha illallah, they will come. Right? So it means that, like you say, if I pray salah, I believe that I'll get a reward. The same thing. So I have the intention to perform salah so that I'll get a reward. Now if I go and perform salah, reward will come. The same thing with this one. So if they believe that if it is right, if it is correct for what he's saying, if they believe that the scholars will descend on that white cloth, and they are coming there to say the la ilaha illallah, and knowing that the la ilaha illallah will bring their scholars on that white cloth, that's their intention.
My area just too deep.
Because they won't just sit there, they don't have the belief that by sitting there they just come without doing anything, right? So now they have the belief that by saying this, they'll come. So meaning if someone is going there, it means his intention is that, okay, well, my scholars will come, so I'm going to blah, 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 come. If you are judging from, if what he's saying is right. Right, I don't know why.
Yeah.
That
So,
makes sense.
It makes sense, but it's, as we said earlier, if let's say that this is their intention, then there's problem with what? With their intention. But also, you can't say that they will not be rewarded for that.
Yeah.
That's also, and then we are looking at it from what? From the apparent, the view, what we can see. We can see people seated in what? In circle. They start with Salat al-Fatih, which we said that Ali ibn Abi Talib has also said it. And then even if Ali did not say it, it does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. And also, they say La ilaha illallah, and then we said La ilaha illallah is what? Afdal al-dhikr. But the issue here is what? The way they say it, and then how fast they say it, and then the loud raising their voice in it. It's also what? It's also problematic. You get it?
And also the fact that it's not
Yes. So what they say does not actually, they don't have the conviction of it, Like when you say it slowly, it gets what? It gets to, you have the conviction, right? The heart reconcile with what the tongue says. Okay? If you say Subhanallah, and you wait at least a second or two, it's different from what? From just saying, you get it? It's totally different.
And that one also lead to Riyah because, it's done. You can lead to
All right, so
I have two questions.
On this issue?
Not on this issue. So, said the first one happened to be the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. So, during the narration, when I was reciting it, I said, Qala Rasulullah, and I stopped. In the hadith silence, that's how it was written. They didn't continue.
No, but you continue it. Even if they don't write Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you have to continue. Yeah.
Also, you have to memorize as it is.
That's cool.
That's it.
Yeah, of course, you memorize as it is, but don't forget that when you mention the name of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you have to invoke salutation.
I said that will not alter the,
No, it will not. It will not. Whether you add Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or not. So the scholars of Hadith are saying, wherever you see the name of the Prophet, even if it's written Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or not, you have to what? You have to say it. I understand.
So do you know why I'm saying that?
Let's leave that. All right, so
So again, on the Salatul Fatiha, you know, most of our scholars, if there's something like it's not found in the Kutub Sita, it's hard for them to to take it because they'll ask who is the
no,
Imam?
brother, see. Now, you don't say most of the scholars or something like that, but Kutub Sita is not the only hadith book. Now, Kutub Sita, Musnad, Al-Musnad by Imam Ahmad is not part of the Kutub Sita. But it's the biggest, the largest hadith corpus, the largest hadith book we have. It has over 40,000 hadith. Over 40,000 hadith. And the rest, they have 4,800 hadith, 4,000 hadith, 4,200, like that. But the Musnad, it has what? 40,000. So you can't tell me that if the hadith you don't have, if you can't find the hadith in Kutub Sita, therefore there's a problem. No. This Musannaf, Ibn Abi Shayba was authored, it was written before this Kutub Sita. And then the Imam who wrote it is the teacher of most of what? The authors of Kutub Sita. Yes. Ibn Abi Shayba is a scholar of what? Imam Bukhari. Imam Muslim narrated more than 1,000 hadiths from this scholar, from the author of this what? Musannaf Ibn Abi Shayba. Yeah. So you find in Sahih Muslim, he's saying that Haddathana Ibn Abi Shayba. Haddathana Ibn Abi Shayba. Yeah. So Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim narrated hadiths from him, but Imam Muslim narrated more hadiths from what? Ibn Abi Shayba than Bukhari. In Bukhari it's some few hadith, but in Sahih Muslim, more than 1,000 hadith. You get it? So you can't say that if there has no hadith, if you can't find hadith in Kutub Sita, then you don't accept, or maybe you don't consider. I mean, if it's authentic, who are you to reject it? You get it? So let's look at one other issue or two, then we pause. And then now also this issue of what? Of Maulid. Okay, this issue of Maulid is also one of the sensitive issues. Okay, you find people who celebrate it, they will give you all reasons why they celebrate. And people who don't celebrate and they don't support it, they will give you all the reasons why they condemn it. Okay, and then those who don't celebrate, they will tell you that it's bid'ah. Why? Because the Prophet did not celebrate, the Sahabahs did not celebrate, those who came after them did not celebrate, and if it were to be something good, the Prophet would have done it. And then they will also they argue that it's Ubaydiyun Dawla. There's a dynasty that lived, that was founded in the year 294 Hijri. There was a dynasty. So they believe that this dynasty belonged to the Shia, and they were the first who celebrated the Mawlid of the Prophet, right? And this Shia, they used to insult the Prophet, and then they hate the Sahabas. So this is their argument, right? So they don't the first school, they don't celebrate the birthday because of this evidence that I mentioned to you. And then there are also school that would see the celebration of Maulid of the Prophet to be to be something good. Okay, so now when you look at the argument of the first school, honestly, I will tell you that this argument is not strong. First, if you say that the Prophet and then the Sahabas did not do it, okay, therefore it is better. From what we've seen, from what we've discussed from the beginning till now, from the beginning of our discussion till now, this is there are many things that the Sahabas did, or that the Prophet did not do, right? So here, yes, the Prophet did not do, the Sahabas did not do. Okay, but it's what? It can still be good. Okay, this one. And then secondly, the issue of Ubaidiyun started it. That it was by Ubaidiyun, they belong to Shia. So therefore it's what? It is not good to do that. When you are doing that, you are imitating the enemies of what? Of the Sahabas. Okay, this is also not true. This is not true. According to Ibn Kathir, he's an historian, a muhaddith, a mufassir, a faqih, a lughawi. Imam Ibn Kathir. He has a book called Al-Bidayat wa Nihaya. The beginning and then the end. That's the title of the book. So he said in the book that the first who celebrated it was a king called Muzaffar Abu Sa'id. And then he died in the year 630. 630. According to the argument, they are saying that it's what? Initiated by Ubaidiyun. And then when did we see the dynasty was founded? The dynasty of Ubaidiyun. 294. So according to Ibn Kathir, and then also Imam al-Suyuti in his book Al-Hawi, and other scholars, they are saying that the first who celebrated was Malik Muzaffar Abu Sa'id, and he died in the year 630. Okay, so if you are to take what Ibn Kathir and then Imam al-Suyuti said, and these are great scholars, especially Imam Ibn Kathir. He's an historian, okay, and he mentioned this in his history book. Okay, so from this we can say what this claim is not what? It's not legitimate. That the first who celebrated it were the Ubaidiyun and then the enemies of the Sahabas, and therefore it's not what? It's not permissible to what? To celebrate. And then those who celebrate too, they have what? They have their evidence. They say that the Prophet was asked, why do you fast on Mondays? He was asked 3 questions in one hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah. He was asked, سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن صيام يوم عرفة فقال تكفر السنة الماضية والباقية وسئل عن صوم يوم عاشوراء فقال تكفر السنة الماضية. And then he was asked وسئل عن صيام يوم اثنين فقال ذاك يوم ولدت فيه وبعثت فيه وأنزل علي فيه. So he was asked about what? 3 fasting that he used to fast. The day of Arafah, and then the day of Ashura, and then also on Mondays. And then on Mondays he said, I fast on Monday. Why? Because I was born on Monday. That's what he said.
So you said ذلك يوم فيه or ذلك يوم ولدت.
He said ذاك يوم ولدت فيه. ذاك يوم ولدت فيه. This is the wording of the hadith of Abu Hurairah, and it's an authentic hadith. ذاك يوم ولدت فيه. That was the day I was born. Right? So here they say that from this, the Prophet saying that I fast on the day that I was born, then the Prophet has given what? Has honored the day, his birthday. Of course, he did not celebrate it, but has honored what? His birthday. Okay? So they what? They use this as what? As their evidence to what? To celebrate birthday. And then they see that the birthday is what? There's goodness in it, and especially they gather and then what? Share food, and then teach the seerah of the Prophet and all that. So this is the second school. They see that it's permissible to what? To celebrate the birthday, and then the second school are saying what? It's not what? It's not permissible to what? To it. And then I've already given you the evidence of what? Both schools. So now, from my observation and all my research, I can say that we can what? We can classify it. We can classify Mawlid into 2 types, right? The first one is what? Is haram, and the second one is jaiz, permissible. The Mawlid that is haram is what? Is the Mawlid where they what? They will be mingling, they will be mixing between the opposite sex, and then they will be drumming, dancing. Even if what? If they teach the seerah of the Prophet in such gathering, it is what? It is not bid'ah. This is haram. Why? This mingling or mixing between the opposite sex contradict what? The teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. And also dancing and drumming, it's also what? Against the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, right? Even if they teach the Sirah there. With all this, with this scenario, it is what? It is haram. Do you get it? But in the second scenario, where celebrating birthday is permissible, where you will find a scholar, let's say a scholar will be invited in that Maulid to come and teach what the Sirah of the Prophet. Women are on a side, and then men are also what? On a different side. There's no what? There's no mingling, there's no dancing, there's no drumming. This is not what? This can't be bid'ah. And then what they teach there is what? The Sirah of the Prophet, the conduct of the Prophet, and then his life, and then about his Sahabah. This can't be bid'ah even if the Prophet and the Sahabah did not do. Because when you look at this scenario that I've given you, the second one, it does not contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah. Right? Because it's a teaching of what? The life of the Prophet. There's no mingling, there's no drumming, there's no dancing. Okay? So this will take, so with this, let's say that there's a waz, a gathering of waz, right? A gathering of waz that they've what? That they've organized. So this gathering, they teach, they recite verse and hadith, and then what? Translate and then teach people, right? And then this gathering, so with this gathering, there's no mingling, there's no drumming, dancing between what? Between the opposite sex. So here, what is the difference between this one, this was, and then the second scenario of Maulid? Is there anything different here? Is there anything different? There's nothing different. Okay, so they carried what? The same ruling. Since this is permissible, this is also what? This is also permissible. And then the name Maulid does not also what? Affect the, does not affect the ruling of what? Of the action. Do you get it? So these were the two types of what Maulid that we can see from my observation, and then I've already given you the argument of both schools, why they celebrate and why they condemn it. Okay, so I think we've already prolonged. So
and again, there's this ayah but they skip like now.
والرهبانية
قل
بفضل الله وبرحمته فلذلك فليفرحوا.
That one like the tafsir, because they said for your problem, like, so that's
they should be happy. Yeah, so but for me I don't see any evidence in this. I don't see evidence for those who celebrate in this verse. I don't see it. Right? So, and also there's something really interesting. You know, do you know that there are great scholars who are in support of what? Supporting Maulid. And there are also great scholars who are what? In condemnation of what? Celebrating Maulid. There's a renowned scholar, when I tell you, you will not believe. He said that those who celebrate birthday will be rewarded based on their intention. Yes. If their intention is to what? To remember the Prophet, to learn about the Sirah, to teach about the Sirah, they will be rewarded for that. And then the food that they share, they will be rewarded for what? For their intention. And this is Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. This is what he said. I'm saying Shaykh al-Islam, you are saying Imam Ahmad.
So,
That this, what Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said. Right? And then also Imam al-Suyuti, also what is of the view that yes, it can be what? Celebrated. And Imam Ibn Kathir also, narrated the report of the first person who narrated it and did not condemn. So this also what? This also he is of the view that it can be what? It can be celebrated. But as I mentioned, it will depend what is being done there, right? If what is done at the Maulid contradict the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah, then it's what? It's haram, not bid'ah. Okay? But if there's nothing that contradicts the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah at that place, then it can be what? It can be considered bid'ah or haram. Do you get it? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Any question?
Yeah. So, check. What about the praising, the singing for the king? Is it okay?
Singing for who?
The king. Like maybe a king and they'll be singing for a king. sometimes they'll be using big words that should be used to only Allah.
Really?
Yes.
Adam Maulid?
No, I'm not referring to Maulid.
To what are you referring to?
I'm referring to sometimes they have a way of praising kings.
Yeah, at where?
Maybe at
Generally.
gatherings, yes.
Yeah, so now a praises, whoever you are praising should be in a certain frame. You don't give the person an attribute that the person is not qualified for, like attribute of the Prophet or attribute of Allah to the king. This is what, this is haram, this is kufr, this is shirk. Do you get it? This is not permissible. You get it?
So again, like on dua, like a dua. Maybe for me now that I've learned that there's no problem in it. Maybe our grandfathers and dad, you find someone telling his people that if I'm dead, nobody should organize something that like that occasion.
Yeah, that's like 40 days.
40 days.
Okay.
And maybe for like now I know that there's no problem in it. And maybe I'm having one family that who said I don't want it. And I know that it's good. After his maybe he's gone, can I still do it or maybe
No, since the person say you don't want it, you don't have to do it. You can give sadaqah on his behalf. The money that you use for that organization, you can use it, you can give charity on his behalf. Then the person will get that reward. You get it? So let's pause here and then continue in our next lesson. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah.